Hello, everyone, and welcome to AP's Poetry School. Today we are going to be reading Eldorado by Edgar Allan Poe. So let's get into it. I'll read it straight through first. It's a pretty quick poem, and then we will explain. So he says, Gaily bedight, a gallant knight, in sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing a song, in search of Eldorado. But he grew old, this knight so bold, and o'er his heart a shadow fell as he found no spot of ground that looked like Eldorado. And as his strength failed him at length, he met a pilgrim shadow. Shadow, said he, where can it be, this land of Eldorado? Over the mountains of the moon, down the valley of the shadow. Ride, boldly ride, the shade replied, if you seek for Eldorado. Alrighty. Mostly self-explanatory, but a couple things in here I think worth considering. So first we have gaily bedight. What does that mean? So gaily bedight, it means finely adorned, wearing nice clothes. I guess since he's a knight it might be armor, but the old version of gay, now it means homosexual, but it used to mean, bright or happy, or, something like this. So gaily bedight, a gallant knight, a brave knight, that's what gallant means. In sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing a song in search of Eldorado. Okay, so in sunshine and in shadow means, through the day and through the night. You could say in good times and in bad, or just, incessantly, relentlessly, without stopping. He had journeyed long, singing a song in search of Eldorado. What is Eldorado? Well, when the Spanish were exploring the New World, they heard some Indians tell them that there was a city made of gold. And obviously the Spanish were really pumped about that, so Eldorado kind of became this myth or this legend, trying to find Eldorado. It's like the fountain of youth, you could say. So that's the first stanza. And it says, But he grew old, this knight so bold, and o'er his heart a shadow. So this or right here, you'll see this apostrophe. Really, it's just a old-timey way of saying over. I don't really know why they did that, but that's really what that means. It's saying, this knight grew old, even though he was bold, and over his heart fell a shadow, meaning he became saddened or depressed or disturbed by something. And the shadow fell as he found no spot of ground that looked like Eldorado. Kind of goes without saying. He's wondering where this thing he's searching for all this time is going to be. He hasn't found it yet. And as his strength failed him at length, as he's losing his will to go on, or his capacity, he met a pilgrim shadow. It's a little obscure what this is, but a pilgrim is someone who goes in search of a site or a monastery, thing like that, and the shadow indicates that it's a spirit. It's not really another person, or if it is, they're kind of, dark, wearing dark clothing, concealed. But really, I think it's a spirit. And reflected, he says, Shadow, said he, the knight, where can it be, this land of Eldorado? So he, of course, is asking the spirit, hey, what's going on? Where can it be, this land I'm looking for? And he is responded to by the spirit who says, Over the mountains of the moon, down the valley of the shadow, ride, boldly ride, the shade replied, if you seek for Eldorado. So, what does this mean? It's a little cryptic. So, over the mountains of the moon, so this land of Eldorado is over the mountains that are on the moon, and it's down the valley of the shadow. Ride, boldly ride, the shade replied, if you seek for Eldorado. So, what does this mean? In my opinion, it means you're not going to find what you're looking for, or it's impossible, or it's just so silly that we're going to describe it as being impossible to reach. So you can imagine a knight riding on a horse is never going to ride over the mountains of the moon, or down the valley of the shadow. What is that in reference to? Well, in the Bible, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, So, either like you won't find it, it's completely impossible to find, or, you can go down the valley of the shadow, meaning down the valley of the shadow of death, or you'll have to die. But boldly ride, the shade replied, if you seek for Eldorado. So I think it's kind of a tragic ending here. That's kind of part and parcel of Poe. He's a gothic horror writer, and he kind of reflects on the tragedy and the sadness of life over and against some of the more optimistic, poets and themes that were going on. So I don't really think there's a good way to spin this. You may want to say, well, it's really hard to achieve, but we'll get there. But I don't really think that's what it's saying, and I find that somewhat comforting because I think we're all looking for something that ultimately we won't find until we die, if we do find it at all. So yeah, great poem there, and there you go. Thanks for listening.